I was a medic with the 25th Infantry Division, 4th Battalion, 9th Infantry. I was in Vietnam from the 4th of July, 1969 till the 4th of July, 1970. Although it says on my records the 3rd of July because of the international time zone. When I got there, I was stationed at Fire Base Mole City, which was 2 kilometers from the Cambodian border. The 4th of the 9th was a hardcore unit that had gone through a lot of battles. The Mole City was a small 100-meter circle fire base in the middle of a rice paddy, and from there our companies would go out and do ambushes on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So our job was to control illegal immigration from the north, more or less. I was the senior battalion medic. I'd taken advanced training, so I would run a sick call in the morning and a sick call at night. I'd suture up people. And we were at that location for about 3 months, and then we moved, we closed down because of the dry season, and that's when I began to do something extra. There was something that a lot of people don't know about, which was called the Civilian Action Program, where we went out to villages. So in the mornings we'd take care of troops, in the evenings we'd take care of troops, but in the day, middle of the day, with the support of the battalion, we would go out to villages. We'd give women who were pregnant vitamins. We'd sew up people who were cut. We'd bandage people. We had a couple of civilian doctors who came along, and they taught us some old-fashioned ways to diagnose people. We had 14 villages that we took care of. And then we moved farther south to Bearcat in the second half of the year, after January. And there we had another group of villages, and we hooked up with an Australian doctor and his people, and we treated 450 people one day. Most of the time we do over 200 people. And with the Australian doctor, the doctor did some amazing things. A little kid came in, his tear ducts were infected, swollen. He would have gone blind, but we treated him with antibiotics and probably saved his eyesight. Some people question whether that did a lot of good or not. I don't know. But it did enough good that one fella told us that I'd drained his infection on his back and sewed him up. He was kind enough to tell us to get out of the village because the North Vietnamese were coming in a few minutes. So that means we had some value to them. They wanted us to come back. After that, I ended up going to Cambodia. So I did a complete circuit from one side of the Cambodian border to the other side. I was in the field for 343 days. I spent almost no time in the rear. My unit was very active, doing mostly ambushes. I was the senior medic, so I was responsible for training people to go out in the field, because what you learn stateside was not always applied when you got in the field. So my job was to bring people up to speed. There were altogether during the year I was there were 60 medics that rotated in and out of my unit. Of the 60 medics, by my count, I lost 14, which was fairly typical. About 1 in 4 medics was lost. It was not a good job. But it was a lot of sacrifice to go around. A lot of very young men who gave themselves for their friends. Our unit had over 100 casualties in the year that I was serving, so they were quite active all along the way. Uh, and and it was their courage and that made it possible for me to come home alive, because we were not a prize target. They were a tough force to be against, and they were a good bunch of young men. I forgot to mention that I had kids from St. Olaf send packages to us, and they sent us toothbrushes, toothpastes, and T-shirts, and we passed them out in one of the high schools. It was a very, very poor neighborhood. There's a picture of that on the internet. You have to track down the 25th Infantry website.